I know exactly what you're thinking when you're staring at salt chlorine system listings. Is this going to be another weekend project that ends with me hauling chlorine jugs back to the store because the thing won't even fit my pool? That hesitation is totally fair. You don't want to spend $1,000 only to realize the return jet fittings don't match your setup or the cell clogs every 2 weeks. I've dug into the Hayward AquaTrol W3AQ TROL RJ specs and the real-world setup stories, and here's what actually matters once you get past the marketing. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. This unit is built specifically for above-ground pools up to 18,000 gallons, so if you've got an in-ground or anything bigger, keep scrolling. The headline promises no more handling chlorine, and that's true. Once it's installed, you dose the pool with nothing but pool-grade salt. The water ends up noticeably softer and easier on skin and swimsuits, which is the main reason people switch. If you or your kids are prone to red eyes or itchy skin after a dip, this system quietly fixes that without you having to remember weekly chlorine tabs. The installation itself is where most buyers get stuck. The W3AQ TROL RJ ships with return jet fittings sized for standard above-ground plumbing, but the manual is pretty clear: measure your existing return pipe before you order. If your pool uses 1.5-inch pipe, you're good. If it's 2-inch, you'll need a simple adapter. That little detail isn't always called out in the listing, so I'm mentioning it now so you don't end up with a $700 paperweight. The unit also needs a dedicated 110-120V outlet within 25 feet, so check your breaker panel and cord length before you drill holes. Once it's running, the daily routine is simple: test the water every few days, top off salt every month or two, and rinse the cell with a hose every 6 months. The cell itself is tool-free to remove, which is a nice touch compared to systems that require a wrench every time. The only real nuisance I see buyers mention is that the salt level has to stay between 2,700 and 3,400 ppm, go below that and the chlorinator light blinks continuously, and go above and you risk calcium scaling on the cell. It's not rocket science, but it does mean you have to keep an eye on the salt meter and your pool volume after heavy rain or splash out. Where this system actually saves money is on chlorine tabs. A 20-pound bucket costs about the same as a 40-pound bag of salt, and you go through salt far more slowly. Over a single season, most owners report spending roughly a third of what they used to on chlorine, which starts to offset the upfront cost after about 2 years. The flip side is the cell itself. Expect to replace it every 3 to 5 years at around $200 a pop. That's still cheaper than buying chlorine for the life of the pool, but it's a cost a lot of buyers forget to budget. If you already own an in-ground pool or anything over 18,000 gallons, this isn't the right fit. If your pool is above ground but you're using a salt system on a budget, the Hayward W3AQ TROL RJ is one of the few plug-and-play options that doesn't require a separate control box or a union kit. Just mount the cell inline, wire it to a nearby outlet, and you're done. The only other scenario where I'd skip it is if your pool is shaded most of the day. Salt systems need sunlight to generate chlorine efficiently, and in heavy shade you'll still have to add the occasional shock dose. The biggest hidden trade-off is the return jet fittings. They're plastic, and if your pool's jets are metal, you might see some galvanic corrosion over time. It's not a deal breaker, but it's worth checking your existing fittings before you bolt this on. Also, the unit is loud. Think mini air conditioner hum, so if your pool is right next to the house, you might hear it on quiet evenings. If you're still on the fence, ask yourself 2 questions. Is my pool above ground and under 18,000 gallons? Do I want to stop handling chlorine jugs every week? If the answer to both is yes, this system is the closest thing to a set-and-forget upgrade you can buy without going pro. The learning curve is short, the maintenance is lighter, and the water really does feel different the first time you swim in it.